Natalie Clemenson. Due to the diversity of nutrients, their type, and their amounts that are found in plant-based milks in the studies provided, Isabella Frutuoso said, who works in the Department of Nutrition at the University of Brasilia, published in the journal Nutrients in July of 2021, stated that plant-based alternatives cannot serve as a full substitute for cow's milk. We all have walked past in the grocery store, have walked past the dairy aisle and seen the growing number of alternatives that are out there. The FDA should not allow milk alternatives to have the word milk in their name. First, in my speech, I will talk about the problem with alternatives having the word milk in their name, and second, I will discuss a solution. The first problem with the alternatives having milk in their name is that when you go to Merriam-Webster's dictionary, which has served as a reference source for over the past 150 years, it states that milk is milk from an animal used for food, especially by people. Plant-based alternatives do not meet this need when you look at the dictionary definition. Another problem with alternatives having the word milk in their name is the nutritional values. Sai Kangbi Benga, who is a project specialist at Protein Industries Canada, who has a Master's of Science degree from McGill University, and Reghava Viaha, who is a professor at McGill University in the Agricultural Engineering Department, and who served on the Food Expert Advisory Committee in the Journal of Food Science and Technology, stated that soy milk is the only comparable choice when looking at the nutritional values. Potassium, phosphorus, and vitamins are all nutritional aspects that the others cannot compete with. Protein values also are not there when you look at coconut milk or cashew products. These products are far lacking the nutritional value that cow's milk have. Cow's milk has these nutrients that are not fortified that the alternatives need to add. Another aspect that is an issue is the growth of infants and toddlers. Mothers who are on a plant-based diet, their children result in stunting due to the plant-based diet. This was according to Elnaz Dayanshed, who is a PhD in nutritional sciences from Tehran University of Medical Sciences, and she published this in the Health Promotion Perspectives journal in March of 2020. She stated that due to the low protein intake and low energy intake of the mothers, the breast milk resulting from those mothers did not have the nutrients that the infant needed, and the infant was stunted growth at the infant's growth started to stunt at the age of only 4 months old. And those who did not have a plant-based diet, their children did not have this result of stunting. And so this is another point that leads to why alternatives should not have the word milk in their name. The infant's stunting resulted from lack of iron, calcium, B12, vitamin B12, and protein. Another point as to why alternatives should not be called milk comes from the amount of processing that is in alternatives and the amount of processing that is in cow's milk. Cow's milk can be from the farm to the store within 48 to 72 hours, whereas milk alternatives take much longer and go through much more steps. Taylor McHugh, who is a research leader at the USDA Agricultural Research Service Department, published in the Food Technology magazine in December of 2018 the steps of production of producing alternatives. The plants are grown and harvested, and during this harvest the producers have to be careful that they do not oxidize the product or it will contaminate the product. Then they go through wet and dry processing Wet processing involves soaking and rinsing the ground nuts and materials. Then it is blended into a puree. The dry processing involves milling the products into a flour. Then it is added with water, sugars, vitamins, and the minerals that are not already in the nuts. It is then went through quality control and processing. So as you can see, the production of milk alternatives and milk is much different, and they should not be considered the same thing. Now that I have talked about the problem with calling milk alternatives milk, I will discuss a practical solution to this problem. Instead of milk alternatives having the word milk in their name, non-dairy products should be considered as a beverage or a drink. For example, almond milk would change from almond milk to almond beverage or almond drink. This would help consumers to not be misled about the nutritional values. Dr. Scott Gallup, an FDA commissioner and a doctor of medicine, in an interview done by Berkeley Lovelace Jr. in September of 2018, stated that consumers are being misled about the nutritional value of the products they are consuming. Consumers see the word milk and automatically relate the nutritional values of milk, while many alternatives do not have the same value that milk does. There are also standards of identification done by the federal agency that access the standards of naming a product. In this interview, he said almonds don't lactate, therefore they should not be considered milk. Dairy sales are also declining due to the false advertisement of these non-dairy alternatives. First, I talked about the issues with calling non-dairy products milk, and second, I discussed a problem to this issue. The FDA should not allow milk alternatives to have the word milk in their name. The nutritional values that have been assessed in studies are not the same between plant-based alternatives and cow's milk. Therefore, it cannot serve as a full substitute to cow's milk and should not have the word milk in its name.
7:31. Great job. 1, 2.